all started with a tweet, and it became a national sensation, but scientists began to wonder, was it really a rat? Our team looked to uncover the true taxonomic identity of the Chicago rat hole, and our findings created an uproar.
Hi, my name is Christine. I'm a Ph.D. student.
Hi, my name is Gabby. I'm a postdoctoral teaching fellow. We are here at New York Institute of Technology to talk about the Chicago rat hole. And we have here Winslow, the creator of the Chicago rat hole. Hi, Winslow.
Hi, I'm Winslow. I would say I am not the creator of the Chicago rat hole. I am not a rat, or as it turns out, a squirrel. I just need to clarify that I was walking in Roscoe Village in Chicago with my friend Haley, and she said, "Keep an eye out for the rat hole." And I saw it, and I took a picture of it, and I tweeted it with the caption, "Had to make my pilgrimage to the Chicago rat hole." And that was the extent of my creation of it. I barely even gave it a name. Like it's been there for like 30 years. So yeah.
That's so insane. Like, it's very an unexpected phenomenon. Like, were you expecting to be this viral? Were you just like, oh yeah, people will think it's funny and that's it?
I've gone viral a couple times before. If you've ever seen the sticker that says Gatorade should be thicker, that was my sticker, and I've probably sent out like 40,000 of those, and every once in a while they'll get posted and they'll go viral. I didn't expect it to do nearly as well as it did. It's a unique, weird thing, and those tend to do well for me. But obviously, I ended up in the New York Times like 3 times. So that's
so cool.
A degree of virality that I have not experienced before or since. So
absolutely. So is it a common sight in Chicago, just like is here in New York City, that you would see rats literally everywhere? Like, we have so many of these videos of rats in the subway, like literally eating pizza, walking around people. Is that also the same thing for Chicago?
I would say, we both have a lot of rats, and my lifestyle finds me lurking in alleyways a lot. And so I don't, I see them around, but they're generally just like hopping from trash can to trash can. My time in New York, they are everywhere. Like,
Absolutely.
It's just insane. I know that there's some boroughs in New York where they have like gangs of attack dogs they take into abandoned buildings to hunt down the rats,
oh God.
Which is extremely metal. But New York definitely has the rat infestation crown, I would say.
It's funny though, because one of the things that I wanted to put in the paper is that there was a random website, I guess it was for pesticides or whatever, that was saying that Chicago is the rattiest city in the US. And I always thought it was New York. So I don't know.
I just think that New York has so many other things going on that you can like attribute to, like, New York is like, oh, that's where Broadway is. New York, that's where all the crime is, or whatever. And Chicago is like a uniquely hostile city, and that's really why I like it, is because
Interesting.
When I first moved to Chicago, I went to a military surplus store, and I was like, all right, man, I need like a really solid winter coat. How cold does it really get here?
Oh, yeah.
And the guy was completely nonplussed, and he's like, oh, I've never seen it get under -50, which is just insanity. So I just think that, like, a part of the Chicago identity is being like, oh, it's miserable here, and it's just the way that I like it.
And that's how it needs to be.
Rats and filth and grime is like, that's inextricable to the Chicago experience, to me,
It's actually pretty funny, because I'm from Brazil, I'm from Rio, and actually that's exactly the same vibe. That's how we like it, that's how we do it, but okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I know you talked a little bit about the virality of your post. What about the Chicago culture and its people do you think made the post so viral?
I think that there is kind of this humble, we are very akin to rats already, and so there kind of is like a kinship among the discarded, as I've said about it before, and so like it allowed for a lot of people to kind of gather around this shrine before it was even, made into a shrine, where they could pay their respects to the deceased rat. And I think that the people of Chicago, they had a glimpse of something that is like how I view the whole world, which is the layer between profane and sacred is actually extremely thin. And this is something that a lot of my art career is about like that what happens when the bones of a person that person is now canonized as a saint, and now these bones are relics. And then what happens in 1,000 years when they are completely forgotten and those bones become they return to profane, right? And so when it comes to like this splat mark of a dead rodent, everybody coming together and making it into a very loving and sweet thing, where we are all kind of celebrating not just this one particular rodent, but like living in the city, living among the rodentia. It becomes this very beautiful thing of just like kind of a meditative, just like appreciating all life. And I really mean that. And I'm really glad that obviously a lot of people really resonated with that feeling,
True. I guess I can actually pivot for a second because we are in an anatomy lab and we have lots of donors that we use to teach the med students anatomy. So it's really interesting, this value of life. And then like after you pass away, you can also still be very helpful for people to just like learn science and study anatomy. So we are kind of like in this veil, I guess, in here too, just like having this celebration of life even after death, I guess. But yeah.
I think a lot about the Einstein quote about like either everything is a miracle or nothing is. Like the laws are the laws. And I, as a rather secular person, I am still someone who is just like, everything is drenched in a kind of holiness because sentimentality is a decentralized holiness,
Sure.
right?
Like
where like you can go to the jewelry store and buy any number of gold rings, but that gold ring with the diamond in it, when you give it to the woman that you love or give it to the partner that you love, it becomes your wedding ring. It becomes this indivisibly holy object.
how much energy
Sentimental,
you put on that.
right?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with like, how many rats have you seen? But if you have a pet rat, you're like, that's my
the
guy.
one. That's
that's
the
my
one.
guy.
That's the one. He's just like all the other ones in the sewer, but this one is the one that I love.
Yeah, but this one's mine.
This one's mine.
Yeah,
It's a personal perspective.
exactly.
So in the last year and a half since the viral post went viral, what have you been doing? Anything related to rats?
Nothing specific to rats, and that's kind of intentional because I do stand-up comedy, and I have seen a lot of people get their like moment in the sun where they ran a briefly viral internet account for I was the guy that made the Twitter account for the fly that landed on Mike Pence's head during the debates, and I had 7,000 followers, and it was like you had this one really exciting night, and then everything else has been boring since then, and you're trying to capture that. You're still making memes about that in 2025, and I didn't want to be the rat hole guy, as it were, even though that's how I am labeled on the news.
That's how it happens.
And I didn't want to make merch for it because I think that that's a little gauche. I want other people can make merch. Other people can do whatever they want. I just didn't want to be the guy who's like now slinging t-shirts by the rat hole. I don't want to put a price tag on it. To me, this is just, it's no different than seeing a rare and beautiful bird in a tree and just going, hey, look at this. Isn't this beautiful? We don't need t-shirts of it.
True.
As a guy who makes 100% of my living through making art and selling it to people, not everything needs to be commodified. The rat hole is for everybody.
That's
So
brave.
I do that. I sell my art at the Oddities and Curiosities Expo. And so I do that for like 15 cities a year, selling my stuff there. And then I'm also a game designer, and I did put a little rat hole reference in my first game,
Oh, now I
which
need to
came
see
out
that.
this summer. So I raised a bunch of money for that. Raised like 86,000 to make. It's a game called The Restless, and I'm putting that out in January next year. And then the other thing, the other rat hole thing that I did was I made one of my Discord followers made a little 3D cast.
Just like the one that we did. That's
Yeah,
cool.
of the rat hole, and then I made a you can kind of see silicone mold of that cast. So then I can make little plaster casts of the rat hole, and I'm not selling them, but if you donate at least $25 to the Chicago Women's Shelter, I will just send you one.
Nice.
And
Sweet.
I raised like $3,000 for homeless women in Chicago with little plaster rats. So, yeah,
That's pretty
I
awesome.
was thankfully able to spin a bit of it into something more pro-social and more than just a couple tweets, you know?
Oh, that's awesome. That's really, really cool. Were you
Yeah.
like ever interested in science? Do you consider yourself like an animal lover? Not just rats, obviously, but anything like that?
I'm definitely interested in science. I'm currently researching my next game, so everything I'm reading now is like psychology and history stuff. But prior to that, like my last few books have all been different biology books, and you know, my mom was a biology student, so she had a unique perspective on everything, and I've always found animals in like the weirder parts of like the deep sea, or like bugs under rotten logs. Like I'm a rot guy. I'm a disease and rot and worms and gross things. So rats are very true to me. I am not, however, a animal person as like a pet owner. I grew up around a herd of Russian wolfhounds, like the big giant long nosed
The big nose.
dogs.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're super cool.
Like literally there were like 16 of them in my
Wow.
house at one point in time. So like I've had my fill. You know, it's the George Carlin joke of you know, it's just a pet is just like a tragedy with paws. Like it's just waiting to just shatter your heart at some point in time. So I've had enough tragedy in my life that I'm just like, I'm just gonna be me.
True. That makes
You know?
sense. I'm not sure if you remember, it was the first time that I contacted you on Twitter.
Yes.
But we contacted you like, oh yeah, we are doing this research about the rat hole. Do you think it would be okay to mention your name on it? Because we were not exactly sure about the rights and stuff like that. And then did you think it was like kind of like a joke, maybe a scam or something? Like, is actually someone like doing research on that?
No. I
Be honest. Be honest.
Well, no. What it was that like when it was first blowing up, I was having so much fun talking to people about it, because like I live and breathe holiness and sentimentality and dirt and grime. Like my first logo was just like a rotting chain link fence covered in trash. Like that's my bread and butter, right? And so I was having so much fun talking with everybody about it, and then people started to get like really mad at me because the rat hole story. What happened was, it was big on Twitter and everybody's talking about it. Then it was on TV and it was in some magazines. It was on the New Yorker and New York Times, Washington Post, Boston Globe, da 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 da. And then the story started to drift into like right-wing internet stuff where people were just like, the Chicago rat hole, that boy's lucky he didn't get shot by, you know, just like crazy stuff. And then it drifted over into like to the leftier part of stuff where people were calling me like a carpetbagger, and people were like, you know, really mad that a rat died and that like they thought that I killed a rat or something like that.
Oh
like
my
there's
God.
lots of wires getting crossed. So I started to turn down a lot of different people for documentaries. I was going to be on Kelly Clarkson, but I'm like,
Wow.
I have too many people getting so mad at me right now that I don't want to like, and now I'm like showing my shiny face on Kelly Clarkson. So y'all do whatever you want, but like, I have too many people furious in my DMs because I took a picture of a sidewalk on public property.
I see.
That I was like, do whatever you want.
I was honestly very, very surprised that you were so receptive and you just like answer it. And I was like, sure. I thought we would not even be able to talk to you directly. So it was really nice that you answered it on that time. But sure, that was cool. Do you have questions for us?
Yeah. So I was kind of unsure about the exact science that was required to achieve your ends. People were saying that it was a squirrel like from the get-go. And so for me, like a rat hole, it's just so much of a funnier name. And it's like so much more evocative of the feeling that I'm always trying to express to people. So I guess what I was curious about is, do you studied the anatomy of it. I know that you didn't really study too much of the physics of it.
Yeah.
Do you think that the squirrel survived? Because it looks like there's claw marks leading away. Maybe the squirrel kept the rock, the concrete, and like became like bulletproof in a way. I don't know. What do you think?
That's kind of funny because we didn't know at all that there was these marks after. We knew because you said this before, but like we didn't have access to the actual imprints. So I'm thinking that if you have these marks, then clearly the cement was pretty fresh. And then the animal was able to just like run away from it. But it doesn't mean that it didn't die from the impact after. It could be running to the nest or something and then dying alone. It's like you're saying, like this gore feeling, I love it too. Like my favorite animal is like opossums. They're always on the trash cans and stuff like that. So animals cannot show any kind of weakness or pain when they are just like exposed. So usually even if they were dying almost immediately, they would run to hide and die alone. Especially, for example, if they have a nest with babies, they would not go to the nest because they would attract other predators there. So I would think that maybe, I don't know the height that it was a drop, and maybe we think that it was either falling from the tree or maybe a predator like a eagle or something could like have dropped that on the floor. So maybe died from the impact or not, we're not super sure, but probably would die after since it was like walking around after it. So yeah, it was not the original idea for the project, but sure. That was an interesting question though.
Yeah, pretty brutal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's kind of all I could really think about because my other stuff was just like way too galaxy brain of just like with the approximate contours of the splat mark, what do we think the like the weight and age of the squirrel would be? But it sounds like you looked at the way the hips are splayed out here. And like the length of the forearm to kind of get a better grasp on exactly the shape of the creature. But I don't know. And are there any parts of these findings that like that really surprised you?
I think it's just how viral it got, how impactful the work was. And, you know, Gabby and I are true advocates of public outreach and making science accessible. And so this entire experience, we couldn't have been more happy of the result and how encouraging it is, especially during a time when science is being unfunded and defunded and even unsupported. So this is a great shock to us in a good way.
True, and actually that's a good jump because like you said, sometimes you're going viral and then you have half of the haters or people that didn't actually understand the idea. So I remember, I guess it was the video of, can we say the name of the company? I don't know. But then they were saying like, oh, we wish money was invested on something else. And we were like, well, there was no funding involved on this. We literally just like went to the museum. We measured a bunch of specimens in 2 days. And then we ran stats with softwares that are free. They're online, available for everybody. We were not even able to travel to Chicago. There was no one paying for us to go to Chicago to see the thing. We were literally just using photos from the internet. So basically, there was no funds. Anybody could have done that before. It was just like a random idea that we got from our previous supervisor. And then basically, we went to the M&H. Tell about it. Actually, you like the M&H more, so you can tell more about how was our visit to the American Museum.
Yeah, so at the American Museum of Natural History, or as we like to call AM&H, we did a ton of measurements of a wide variety of specimens that are especially local to the Chicago area.
Mm-hmm.
And that included a bunch of muskrats, chipmunks, even the common rat, right, and even squirrels as well. And so having the ability to go to a museum, access a collection, and then be able to measure both digital images as well as the taxonomic features of the preserved specimens was a really good experience for us. And we learned a lot, and I'm glad that it caught the national attention and virality that it did. And I'm glad that we could share the message of public outreach to everyone.
Absolutely. And I forgot, he was asking about the weight and the size of the animal. So the idea, one thing that was very crucial is that using a lot of animals that we have in Chicago area, because it could be, I don't know, anything else besides the rat. And then we also use, for example, young and also older adult squirrels, for example, because if you think about it, an adult muskrat could be almost the same size of a brown rat or the adult squirrel. So to know the size, we were measuring young squirrels, adult squirrels, young muskrats, adult muskrats. And then through the stats that we got, there would be probably an adult squirrel and not the muskrat, even though it was kind of close. The size was kind of close, but muskrats are not walking around in wet cement, so that's also very intuitive.
No. Yeah.
But there was this guy that said it could be a squirrel, so we were just like proving a point, I guess, but it was kind of fun.
Yeah. Makes me think of the Onion article of the average squirrel lives 3 action movies a day of just like darting through the wires and darting under cars and stuff. So
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
That definitely tracks a lot more closely than the muskrat. But
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then there was someone that said, or actually many people already said before, that would probably be a squirrel because since their tail are very fluffy, if I can say that, it wouldn't be completely marked in the wet cement. So the tail kind of looks like a rat tail. But the rest, like once you really picture the squirrel in your mind and then you see the photo, it's kind of like, yeah, kind of like look more like a normal squirrel for sure. Exactly.
Yeah, the little guy.
Exactly. Yeah. We do have this 3D print though too here. So it's kind of very funny to do it.
Yeah, I have coasters. I have drink coasters that somebody made for me. But yeah,
you're gonna need to ship some for us. Like seriously, now we need to promote this a little bit.
You just let me know and I'll make some for you.
Yeah, donations is gonna be going because I think it was a great idea for sure.
Yeah, this is great.
All right, well, thank you so much for your time, Winslow, and thank you for creating that post that went viral. Our study would not have been what it is without it.
For sure. And I'll be checking your game for sure. I'm still fighting a lot of other games right now, but I'll definitely be checking your game for sure. Looks like the vibe that I like to.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Take care.